So I was coming home on the Crenshaw bus. I was heading northbound on Crenshaw, coming back up from a Gardena, El Camino College, that like area right there, coming back up. And the Crenshaw bus eventually goes all the way up to Hollywood. Crenshaw Boulevard doesn't go all the way to Hollywood. It stops on Wilshire, but it kind of goes around, goes all the way up to Hollywood. Anyway, I was riding the bus, and crazy stuff always happened on the Crenshaw bus. Kind of like flying Spirit Airlines. Something's always going to go down. But there was this one gal, she got on and she's like looking around, and she just goes in a seat and like lays down and just like falls asleep there. And like she kept like waking up and looking around. And then one time she got up and then she like got off the bus, and then she like looked around outside, and then she was like, oh, the bus was about to take off. So she was like knocking on the door. They let her back on, and she was talking to the bus driver like, oh, where's 54th? Where's 50th? She's like, oh, we still got a long way to go. So the gal comes back and someone has taken her seat. So she sits next to the person, and she just kind of like, and then she looks over, and there's on the other side there's two seats empty. So she goes over there and she lays down and she falls asleep again, and she keeps periodically waking up and like looking around like looking if we're at the right location or something. And she kept asking people, and there was this like tall black guy. He was a little bit jacked, kind of street a little bit. He was like opening the windows in the bus, which I like because I like circulation. So anyway, she was asking him, about 54th, and he was like looking it up on his phone, and I'm like, oh, this guy's just trying to, hook up or whatever. But he wasn't. He was just, trying to help her out, because it turns out he's like a really good guy, because someone in the back was like, hey man, get off my jacket. Why are you on my jacket? What are you on my jacket for, man, huh? Move over. Why are you all up on me, man? Get back. Get away from me. And he was creating all this commotion, right? And the tall black dude that was opening the windows talking to the gal was like, hey, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He was like, put it in God's hands, man. Don't take your anger out on him. Just let it go. Put it in God's hands. And then he looked back there. He looked to the back, and he was like, and that's a little kid, man. Leave that little kid alone. And so the guy just like kind of shut up. He didn't bother the kid. He stopped yelling at the kid. And then so that tall guy sat down, and he kind of, when he said put it in God's hand, I was like, oh, okay, this dude, he's for the cause, he's a Christian brother. So anyway, he started talking to another guy up here, and he's like, man, I ain't scared of nobody. He's like, I ain't scared of nobody. He's like, especially these people, they think they could just go and bully everybody. It's like you're having a bad day. Don't take it out on other people. You need to find God. You need to find religion, and you need to, put it in God's hands instead of taking it out on other people. And I was just sitting there listening to him, and I was like just shaking my head like, yup, exactly. And then he started going into these different conspiracies and stuff. Like he's kind of aware of what's going on in the world. Some of them were a little bit out there, and I don't 100% agree with like everything he said, but a lot of them I was like, okay, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. But the point of this whole story is basically like, when do you risk standing up for somebody? Because there's been multiple times I've seen this kind of thing where someone's wilding out on the bus, and like like a big black dude who just like don't care, not like big, but like big, tall, and like looks like they could handle themselves, and they're just like let it go. Like, and most of the time these guys are religious, or they talk about God, they bring up God. And but I was always thinking like, when is the right time? When is it worth the risk? For me, it's worth the risk when somebody's being abused, harmed, something physical is happening. Because one time I was on the bus, this is a while back, but coming up Vermont, and there was a gal, like it was packed, the bus was packed, and I always stand at the front, but there was this guy and a gal, and the guy was like kind of rubbing on the gal's arm, and the gal's face was just like, was kind of like what is this guy doing? And so I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, what? And I was like, she obviously doesn't want to be touched by you, like don't do that. I mean, I don't remember exactly word for word the way it went down, but it's basically I confronted him for what he was doing. And he's like, this is my girl, man. And in my mind, I was like, oh, wow. I never took that into consideration. Maybe this is his girl, because it looked like she didn't know who he was. Like she was just like, what is this guy doing? That's the reason why I reacted, because I thought that he was just doing this to a random girl, like he was just sexually harassing this girl on the bus. And so, that's basically, I don't remember exactly, after I was like, when he was like, this is my girl. Oh, and then I was like, is this your dude? And then she didn't say anything. She just kind of like looked down, and in my head, I was like, oh crap, that is her dude. And then I was like, carry on. Just kidding. I didn't say carry on, but I think they like sat down or something, but we didn't fight, but it could have went to that, everyone was quiet on the bus. But anyway, like the point is, like, when is the right time? When is the risk worth it? Because you never know who you're dealing with. It could be a crazy person with a weapon. It could be anything. You could be attacked for something like that. So I'm like, when is it worth it? For me, like I said, it's when it's something physical. If someone's getting beat up or something's happening like that. If the person has a weapon, it's a little bit harder to jump in. But if it's like just with the hands or whatever, that's when I feel like it's worth the risk. But there's people like these guys on the Crenshaw bus, or the other one was Vermont as well. Another one was on the Vermont where a guy spoke up, and these guys risk it for just people talking. Like for me, it's like, okay, he's just yelling at him, whatever, I don't care, you know what I mean? But some people take it, like I said, these guys take it a step further, like, dude, leave this, don't bully this dude. And I'm like, is that worth it? To me, it's not really worth it if there's nothing really that bad happening. But for these guys, it is. It's like they don't like it. They don't like the bullying, and they don't think it's right, and they think that's wrong. So yeah, so that's basically what happened. The dude, like I said, he was talking about conspiracies. He was like, oh yeah, I was in prison for like a year, but I gave up that life. He's like, you think you're big going into prison? He's like, you ain't nothing. He's like, all the guys, their freaking arms are like out to here. And I was just like, I was trying to listen because I was a little ways back, but and it was kind of loud. There was a lot of people, the sound of the bus and all that. So I got to hear a lot of the stuff he was saying. But when he got off the bus, I was like, God bless you, bro. And he's like, you too. And I was like, thanks. And yeah, so when is it worth the risk? I don't know. Maybe I will get to the point to these guys that they don't even want any kind of bullying, whether it's verbal bullying or physical bullying. I'm more with the whole physical thing, but maybe I will one day get to the point where I'm like not letting that stuff slide too, even though that might not be the smartest idea. I don't know, but it's kind of inspiring to see these guys. For me anyway, it's like inspiring. Like, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what needs to happen. We need people like that. People that are going to stand up against bullies, basically. Because that's what they are. They're bigger. These guys are bigger, and they just know they can just like pick on these people or talk bad to them or just be mean to them. So yeah, got a little inspired on that Crenshaw bus, which happens once in a while. But thanks for watching. Take it easy.